Hi everyone, my name is Russian Adam. Welcome back to AREEJ Le Dore channel. Today finally I'm going to talk about our new collection. I am in Dubai at the moment. We are visiting friends, doing some things here. So people are asking like when you're going to speak about the new collection. To begin with, I would love to introduce myself for those of you who might not know me and just look back a bit to my previous work as a perfumer. So I started as a distiller at Phil Oud. I've been distilling agarwood oils for quite some time now, and we done many distillations at Phil Oud. I used to live in different locations in Thailand, Malaysia. I used to visit places, live in the factories, do distillations in my own home. So this really gave me a foundation to become a perfumer. I studied distillation. I've done lots of experiments distilling mainly agarwood, but many other materials as well. Then I launched my brand AREEJ Le Dore, where I blend different perfume materials together and also use my own distillations, my own extracts. First collection was extremely well received by critics all around the world. I launched Oud Perfume, Oud Zen, I launched Siberian Musk and Ottoman Empire. Then I had several collections. Most of the time I put my focus on oud and animalics. Then I done quite a few experiments. We done beautiful collaborations with my dear friends Sultan Pasha, Taha, with my younger stepbrother Eitan. We done sort of a collaboration with my friend in China for Chinese oud. And then latest collection was inspired by Indian attars, and then classics, as all of you probably know. So as I mentioned, I'm all about oud and animalics. I also done the history of oud collection, where I presented oud oils in a sprayable form. Those were very well received as well. It was kind of a new concept where you can apply oud oils easily. You can spray them on skin. Finally, I'm focusing only on animalics. This collection is called Musk Collection. I decided to call this collection Musk Collection. When I'm saying musk, I not mean only deer musk, rather I mean all different animalics. So what I done for this collection, I selected different animalic notes such as obviously deer musk, ambergris, civet, castoreum, and the unique one is skunk. So I selected these 5 animalic, extremely daring, extremely sensual, challenging materials, and I based 5 compositions on these animalic notes. So we will have perfumes based on these animalic ingredients in their natural form, obviously. The entire collection was partly inspired by one of my most maybe talked about fragrance, I guess, is War and Peace. And when I say inspired, I mean the design as well as the use of animalics. War and Peace is one of the most challenging fragrances that I ever created. Also, it features most of the animalic notes that I love to work with. So War and Peace contained core absolute of ambergris, castoreum, and musk, with the addition of synthetic civet. So it's kind of having all these 4 notes mixed together in a very harmonious, very unusual way. This time I'm splitting them, and as I mentioned, there will be fragrance based on deer musk, fragrance featuring ambergris, castoreum, civet, and the unique note I'm introducing this time and my first time to work with is a skunk oil. Would love to share a few general thoughts about animalic ingredients in perfumery in general, because it is directly related to this collection. Animalic ingredients have a huge history in perfumery. Obviously, deer musk is the main one to rule them all, as they say. It is extremely rare, extremely precious material that almost impossible to find, I would say, and I made videos about it. You can watch my previous video on deer musk. This time I'm using Siberian deer musk in combination with vintage musks of various regions. I would say it is probably Indian, Himalayan, Nepalese, or whatever. It's extremely hard to tell the exact origin of very rare vintage musks, but that's what will be featured in the musk fragrance. And in general, musk is one of the most precious animalics. It is mentioned in holy books, in holy scriptures. It is extremely rare and valuable. Often it is associated with something very, very sensual, intimate, and obviously many refer to it as an aphrodisiac. Some say that deer musk often attracts women, whereas ambergris more attracts men. And it is funny actually, because you have these modern French fragrances, most of them featuring synthetic materials that's kind of trying to mimic the ambergris, which is ambroxan, and most of the masculine fragrances this day contain a lot of ambroxan, whereas musk presented in a modern perfumery as something totally different, which is synthetic white musk, and often you see women's fragrances featuring the white musk. In general, animalics do quite a few things within a perfume composition. First of all, it's obviously an amazing olfactory note to add to a fragrance. It gives such a unique feeling. For me personally, it's something unmatchable. When I smell pure natural deer musk, I almost get kind of vibration in my head. I kind of feel my brain cells moving, and I'm experiencing something that is very hard to describe, but is extremely pleasant. The aroma itself is very, very complex. It has this wonderful complex chypre type of notes, which are foresty type of notes. Like you can find woodiness, you can find mossiness, you can find almost resinous inside. I personally think it has something to do with the diet of a deer. When deer is running around the forest, it's eating different sorts of things. It's eating different sorts of herbs, flowers, tree bark, and even moss. Even moss, perhaps oak moss, deer might be consuming and digesting, and it's obviously affecting the smell of the musk that it produces. Therefore, I find amazingly complex bouquet of notes in the smell of musk. It is mossy, it is earthy, it is very, very foresty, but at the same time, it's extremely sensual, extremely animalic, extremely dirty, almost bloody-like. It has this smell and note of blood, and amazingly, it smells extremely sweet. It smells also extremely chocolatey and powdery. So this is something I find truly fascinating. This material, I think, is the only one natural animalic material that comes very close to pure agarwood oil, and sometimes even superior. And I'm not only referring to olfactory experience that it offers, but to its chemical composition. We tested pure musk oil, and its olfactory composition was extremely diverse. It contains so many different aroma molecules that can only be compared to a very, very complex, highly aged wild agarwood oil. It's, I think, over 50, 60, or even 70 different aroma molecules within this particular smell. White ambergris will be presented in a sandalwood based fragrance. Castoreum obviously represents leather, so it will be presented together with the beaver tail oil in a new leather fragrance. Skunk is extremely tropical, extremely exotic type of a smell. It will be presented in a very, very animalic, fresh, floral fragrance. Let's take some time looking at the new presentation. We created this new wonderful design for the box. As I said, colors and the style of a label and the cap inspired by no other than War and Peace. So you can see those bottles are our latest custom made bottles inspired by combination of traditional French architecture as well as Oriental architecture. And every single composition featuring animalic note. It is quite important to note that animalic materials in the modern perfumery are not something common. Unfortunately, they are restricted, they are often prohibited, it's very costly, it's very difficult to find when it comes to natural deer musk, when it comes to natural ambergris, and almost abandoned in modern perfumery, I would say, unfortunately. Yet, a world classics, the best of the best masterpieces, definitely were featuring the natural castoreum, natural civet, natural deer musk. So when we are talking about very old classical French perfumery, you cannot go without amazing animalic notes. Inhaling the fumes of forbidden flower, this is skunk based fragrance. Saying of the old Russian perfumer comes to my mind. He mentioned something along the lines of any fragrance is dropped, it's very down at the bottom, unless you uplift it with animalic notes, with animalic ingredients. And he used to believe that each animalic is supposed to serve its purpose in combination with different floral notes, with different base materials, and so on. In general, people believe that animalics used in a fragrance as a fixative. Obviously, this is one of the reasons, and I would say it's not at all the most important one. But apart from amazing olfactory experience animalics offer, they offer this beautiful contrast within a composition. Sometimes they offer harmony, sometimes they can offer contrast. So imagine a beautiful, powdery, very delicate smell of floral notes like rose and jasmine, contrasted with this very, very dirty and very, very barnyard type of animalic smell of, let's say, civet, almost fecal type of a smell. So this fecal note creating this wonderful contrast and making floral notes look even more stunning. So this is definitely one of the main roles animalics play in the fragrance. So harmony is when, for example, beautiful sweetness of deer musk, almost chocolatey, powdery sweetness, can be combined with the chocolate or the sweetness of jasmine, for example. And this, by the way, exactly what I try to achieve in our musk fragrance. Another amazing feature that animalics offer in a fragrance is a stunning 3D effect that other materials can get. For example, the use of ambergris is well known for this very reason. When you feature natural ambergris in a fragrance, it uplifts and amplifies other notes in a fragrance, almost giving it a 3D sort of an effect. Depth and complexity, another very, very important feature that animalics offer to a fragrance. I mean, if you compare the formula with animalics, to the exactly the same formula without use of animalics, you will see how amazingly rich, deep, and complex any formula can become if a proper animalics applied to it and used in it in a proper manner. Obviously, dosing is very important, so it really creates this amazing depth and complexity within a fragrance composition. Another benefit that animalics offer to a fragrance is a very polishing roundness, if you will, when often formula smells just a bit unfinished. Like you might like the notes, you might like how fragrance develops, but it's just something about it that feels not yet completed and not finished. So once you add a right amount of the certain specific animalic notes to it, according to the fragrance obviously and the composition and the ingredients, then you feel like, oh yeah, now it is a completely finished story. It provides this polished finish to a fragrance. I'm extremely excited to share with you this musk collection. I will probably make another video in coming weeks, after a week or so, when we will be certain on the dates when the new collection will be ready to pre-order, and I will make more detailed video and speak about each single fragrance, the names, the notes, and inspirations behind them. Thank you so much. I'm really looking forward to it, and please share your thoughts with us and tell us what do you think about future upcoming collection. Thank you so much. Take care. Bye.